SWAT team took your neighbor today. Watched them as they walked him away. You told yourself extremists come in all different shapes. Met his eyes and lowered your gaze. But is it too late for us to ever change? When we are collecting the dust of better days. They're always watching us, but we're never safe. We're not meant to be safe, not meant to escape. We aren't meant to wake. Sheriff stopped your daughter today. Pepper sprayed her twice in the face. He must have had good reason if he'd treat her that way. At least that's what they've taught you to say. But is it too late for us to ever change? Once we're collecting the dust of better days. They're always watching us, but we're never safe. We're not meant to feel safe, not meant to escape. We aren't meant to wake. Feds arrived and had you detained. Said you'd made some posts they want changed. Tased you till you felt like you'd forgotten your name, or life before they had you contained. Life before they had you contained. SWAT team took your neighbor today. You can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Why play civil if you won't listen to 50,000 dead? Now we know our mission, we form a militia, make Congress a prison. Why play civil when all these dead won't make you listen?
What's more American than slaying your oppressors? What's more American than liberty or death first? Man, I thought we were founded on abolishing the tyranny of those who would starve a village all to live empirically. And I regret that I have only one life to give for my cause, now that I can see the cause so clearly. I want our leaders, regardless of party, to fear me. I will pick my targets and assassinate them lyrically. I will bring a mountain to the town square, hook them to the pillory and leave them there. Hillary, I'll see you there. Hillary, I'll see you there.
You can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Why play civil if you won't listen to 50,000 dead? Now we know our mission, we form a militia, make Congress a prison. Why play civil when all these dead won't make you listen?
Welcome to the fantasy of rhetoric. Welcome to the last of the free speech while we can get it. And I promise you can get it. All you corporate Democrats, second wave Confederates, GOP illusionists, and neo-Nazi bureaucrats. And Stephen fucking Miller, I will see you in the aftermath. When all the laws are dust, there's just moral justice after that. And I will hunt you through the wasteland if it comes to that. So I can rub you in the dirt like a cheap human Brillo pad. I can sleep fine when our beds are burning, Stephen, but I'll turn around and run into the blaze to get my pillow back. As long as I can lay my head down, I can live with that. I can deal with a little ash. I can feel like a little of the old me burn with the bed and the rest of my past. The old world where we all lived and we can't get back. The old world where you didn't give and you'd still get back. Where you could rake in 12 billion and give none back. Those days are behind us, the virus will kill all that. Your wealth is behind us and kindness is meant for the past. Our leaders would bind us and starve us and call it a fast. A sacrament meant for their God that they garnish in cash. And they feed it the poor by the hundreds, that's all that it asks. Its hunger is legion and people in need are all it will have. So our only chance is to starve it and hope that it turns on them.
You can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your hands. Can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your hands.
My lips, brand new taxes, starving all the billionaires and neutering their Visa Maxes. Topple Congress off their axis, mobilize the homeless, give them axes, call it praxis. Chop a couple limbs off the legislative branches. We'll show you the difference between air as a human right and guaranteed oxygen access. Octogenarians who barely know what day it is are culling countless citizens while sitting on a dais made of ignorance that was built on the graves of the slaves made to labor for its self-declared significance. And all to build a Congress full of millionaires who make their fortunes insider trading while they shit on all the indigent. So I got a bone to pick with our leaders and I'll start with the ligaments. Pick right through the muscle, dig the marrow out and serve it to the unhoused millions living in their minivans or watching their belongings get evicted from their tenement. I have a dream where we breach the walls of Congress and just let them in. And what happens next will survive in only text, cause there won't be any evidence. There will only be that heavy kind of feeling that pervades a space where there has been a reckoning and you can feel its remnants. Let any man who enters seeking power know that those who came before him suffocated on their eminence. That there once was a seal on the wall, but we quartered it and scattered all the pieces that it might prevent its semblance. And so we end the great experiment. We'll take all your billions, leave you 2 coins for the ferryman. Leave you drifting on a Dutchman floating derelict among the wretched seraphim. For holy is the hand that wiped the land clean of those who pose as gentlemen. That's my time, honey, cue the thunderclap and strike the theremin. And so we end the great experiment. Give you 2 coins for the ferryman.
Who are these people?
Who are
are these people? Hi, everyone. Oh, boy. Oh, I just realized the thing around my dome isn't turned on. I turned that off yesterday for something. And this guy's back. What's up, everyone? It's Reef. We got Reef here. So now I need to fix this. You just need to give me a minute. Reef, improvise and tell them what you've been up to. What happened? What have you been up to? It's 2 weeks, I think. Well, you were on INA News Wednesday. INA News.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What else? What else is new?
People didn't miss me too much.
Much?
Not much.
Okay.
Got a workout in today.
That's
So
very exciting.
It's been good. See, what had happened was, I fell asleep the last show. Indy's never done that, by the way. He's never done that. He's never fell asleep and missed a show. He's never done that.
I don't think I actually have. I don't know. I probably have at one point, but it's thousands
I think
of
you
shows
did
and
once.
years.
I think I remember.
I'm sure I have.
We all get one.
Yep. So it's okay.
I literally sent Indy. I sent Indy my what do you call this? Fitbit. This thing, right? I sent him like, dude, I was like, I burned 10,000 calories and then slept for 7 hours. I don't know what happened.
Well,
that's
what happened. That's exactly what happened.
Like, forgive me. I set 2 alarms, missed both of them.
He's never slept through anything ever.
So, my apologies.
Sure. Right, Angel, good to see you. I made a slide of some of the best comments from the channel, from the comments after the streams and on the clips, and one of yours was definitely there. I remember for sure. I shared it over on Twitter, so anybody can see that. Yeah, we're man, it's a big fuck Israel night, of course.
Yeah.
We have a mini celebrity, I guess I'm going to call her in chat tonight, as she has been recently. She apparently has a broken foot, but she's a top 10 world politics writer over on Substack. So congrats to her for that. Dissent in Bloom has been killing it over on.
What's that?
Coming to a what? Yeah, one of those. Coming to a Substack newsletter. Yes. Just crushing it over there and pumping out a bunch of great articles that people like reading, and people are signing up and people like what they see. So that's great. And it's happening over at Indie Media today too. So that's great. It's not just her that's growing. Thankfully, we're all starting to move a little bit. And INA Newsletter too. We're over there. And we're also live over at IndieNewsNow.com. That's our own self-hosted website. Our merch store is connected there, and also a full aggregator website of news. Yeah, hit it. I don't know how you go to my website or buy my merch and look. Yep, we'll do it live. So
all the things. We're here to cover everything that's really going on right now. Even it's amazing 2 years later. October 7th happened, of course. It did not start. Nothing started on October 7th, though Israel would like to pretend that things did start October 7th. October 7th was a response to an escalation throughout 2023 and to 77 years of oppression and taking, since the Nakba in 1948, but even before that, when the plan was to colonize Palestine. Since there will be a ton of quote unquote October 7th memorial propaganda this week, I thought I would create some content and spread it out throughout the week to balance some of that out and remind people just what the hell happened here. And no kick's not working. Oh man. Okay. Well, that'll happen. I'm not, screw kick. Sorry, kick. Bummer. Sorry to the one person on Kick and the 19 bots that are also there.
Yes, it's mostly bots on Kick, but there is one dude that watches AM Wake Up on Kick like every day, and I appreciate him for it, and we got everything all set up there for him
Proud
to
of
do
you.
so. Yes, thank you. But yeah, before we get started, take care of the media that is independent and that you want to see, because we rely on you for funding. We don't.
Money, please.
Thank you. We don't take corporate funding. We don't take ads. We don't monetize any other way than by these ways: Cash App, $, Indie News Network, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network. We got paypal.me/Indie News Network. Try to do that as friends and family if you can. Then we've got, again, the website at Indie News Now. There is a section to keep the media free, and you can hook it up to Stripe directly there. And then we've got INA Newsletter and IndieMediaToday.com. We're actually live at IndieMediaToday.com over on Substack at the moment. And we do that every week. And it's actually hosted there afterwards with all the links and everything to everything that you see. So we're going to start with, again, reminding people that, hey, this isn't just Netanyahu. This didn't start October 7th. But when you hear the denials of, oh, it's not really genocide, they're whatever, the statements that have been made are directly genocidal. And here is a long thread of genocidal intent and ethnic cleansing. So, and this was put together by Maximilian. All right. So we've got a thread of genocidal intent. The first one is Ben Shapiro in 2003 promoting ethnic cleansing. All right. And this goes back to, I don't know, a town hall. I don't know where he published this, but
if you believe the Jewish state has a right to exist,
then you must allow Israel to transfer the Palestinians and the Israeli Arabs from Judea, Samaria, Gaza, and Israel proper, where he doesn't have an answer, just transfer them. Right? It's an ugly, and this is like a 20-year-old Ben Shapiro, by the way. August 27, 2003. So he's been pushing propaganda, right? For more than 20 years, he's been pushing this nonsense. Right. Then we've got a former Israeli justice minister on the ethnic cleansing post October 7th. All right. That's this one here. All right. After we turn Gan Yunis into a soccer field, I'm sure there will be international pressure at some point, hopefully after we finish the job, to rehabilitate. It's just, the statements are maniacal. Each one of them should take a quota, 20 or 50,000, so that they too should shoulder the burden in order to allow them to leave. But they can never come back.
Right.
All right, we let them leave. We need to let them leave. 500,000 young people already emigrated. We need 2 million to leave. In honesty, that's the solution. Yes, ethnic cleansing. That's what she wants to do there. All right, so let me go back there. Yeah, it's the opposite. All right, so again, you've got this one, clear, straightforward objectives: land theft and ethnic cleansing. All right, we got this over and over. We've got Ben Gvir. He's well known in these circles already. Right, outtake from speech of terror convict. To end the problem, so that the problem doesn't return, we need two things: return to Gaza now and encourage the residents to leave. That is the truth. It's the only way. Right, encourage by man. All right, here's another one that they need to occupy Gaza and stay there. And again, he is a hardline extremist, more so than others even. All right, this is Middle East Eye.
אני מציע קודם כל שאנחנו לא נצא ממרכזי הערים בעזה.
We don't leave the city centers in Gaza.
ואני אומר את זה בצורה הכי מפורשת.
להישאר שם. עם הצבא.
You want to stay there? Yes, occupy. But they don't occupy, right? They're not occupying. That's what they say. And what's really funny is that the graphics look very, very much like he could be sitting at MSNBC right now.
Yes.
Even though they're
that is
blurred
why
out.
they do it that way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't suggest we leave the city centers, right? Right? If we decide we can do it, that's what we can do. Gross. Right? Again, their own statements. Don't take my word for it. Israeli policy documents on the ethnic cleansing of Gaza. All right, and again, this gets translated that in October 2023, forced displacement of Gaza civilians to Egypt would yield positive and long-term strategic results. Huh. I wonder what happened in October of 2023. All right, that was on the 13th.
I wonder.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So, and there are this thread has got statement upon minister. Okay. Minister Feiglin. All right. Quoting Hitler, literally. All right. Aylor Levy.
הרגה אחותו של מנהיג חמאס ואליאור לוי, ראש התחום הפלסטיני. אתה עם הפרטים על רצף החיסולים במשפחתו של הנייה וגם המסר שמעבירים ככה בישראל.
נכון, מיכל, תראי, שמסתכלים על זה, אז מתחילת המלחמה באופן בלתי מוכרז, ישראל פתחה במסע נקמה אישי נגד איסמעיל הנייה, כאשר בשמונת החודשים האחרונים ישראל מתנקשת בלא פחות מ-19 מבני משפחתו הקרובים. מהחמולה הכללית יש עוד כמה עשרות, כאשר בואי נראה כמה מהשמות...
I mean, they're just admitting that they're murdering these people's family. And then showing them, look at this, with that old lady with Target, his sister. With targets on them, like that's not genocidal, right?
אחותו, סבח הנייה, שגרה כאן בישראל בתל שבע, נעצרה כבר לפני כמה חודשים. יש אפשר...
Again, once they decide that they're a terrorist, there's no questioning it, ever. All right, I told the officer I perform a symphony with a D9 bulldozer, demolishing 50 buildings a week by myself. A 2-story house means nothing to us. We completely destroyed Jabalia and Rafah. We were on our way to destroy Beit Hanun and Beit Lahaya, but the agreement didn't give us enough time, so we only settled for destroying half of them. Wow. Like, just...
Yeah, they talked about when me and Colin last Wednesday covered a thing with Netanyahu that was like, yeah, no, we accepted the deal. Better to, destroy 99% and, then try to get 100 and not fit. It's like they're just fucking genocidal mathing this out, just trying to take as much land as possible before the consequences show up.
Right. And if any other country made these statements, it would not be considered normal by any stretch of any imagination, and we would likely go in there and destroy it. But of course, we're beholden. So then we've got again here's Smotrich, Tulkaram and Janine will look like Jabalia and Shujaya, Nablus and Ramallah will look like Rafah and Khan Yunis. Just saying they're going to destroy the entire place, and that's what they're systematically doing. All right, here's another one. All these supposedly uninvolved, these subhumans. Yep. All right. With a deranged rant. I'm not even going to play this nonsense. But just the point is that you've got these compiled websites and threads of receipts. And this is why, by the way, Israel now wants to take down Twitter, because they want to take down threads like this too.
Yeah.
Then there will be nowhere for you to find anything that's critical of Israel anywhere in any that goes viral, because anything that's on TikTok is now being suppressed. I didn't bring any of that, but Ricky over at Council of State Media is saying that he's already starting to have his TikToks taken down. Same thing with Guy Christensen. I do have some videos from him. All right. But then we've got Smotrich peddling the destruction of Gaza within months. All right, it'll be completely destroyed with the Palestinian population forcibly displaced in large numbers to third countries. What third countries? Still no answer on that. Awful.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then it just keeps going and going and going. And it's, again, not one person. It's not one cabinet minister. It's not one member of the Knesset.
Mm-hmm.
It's systemic. It's
all of them.
It's most of them. Again, I wouldn't say all of them. That's like saying that all Americans are behind what we're doing, and we're not. But I would say that a large percentage, and as they continue to be surveyed and polled, a lot of them,
right,
are, move the 1.8 somewhere quickly through the South into a sterilized humanitarian area and give them food, and then the Trump plan. Transfer them to other countries. But he never says which other countries because he doesn't have an answer to that. And then they start with and
they don't care. They're like anywhere else.
Well, they've been pushing in the Hasbara, the propaganda is that the other Arab quote unquote nations should take them and the other Muslim countries should take them in.
Right.
But again, the biggest problem with that is by doing that, you then can see that Israel then has the right to the land and that you're acknowledging that they are the rightful now new owners of that land, and to never accept the people that were there and say that's their land, they deserve to have that forever. That's why the Arab world, for one reason that I see, will never accept the Palestinian people in defiance, in support of the Palestinian people, not to reject them at all, but to ensure that they continue to fight for their own and that the world continues to say, no, that is a Palestinian homeland. That's why I see it. And again, I could be wrong. But that's the way I've always seen why the Arab world rejects Israel and accepting Israel in general as an existing country, because they never accepted the UN proposition to begin with. Most of them never agreed to it, right? Those are the countries, the 21 Arab nations voted against it in 1948. Nobody ever talks about that. It's interesting. It wasn't quite unanimous. Not quite, because you were kind of taking people's land away and giving it to somebody else in a way. All right. And again, you've got just statement after statement here. Another member of the Knesset, Waldiger. We have to kill everyone, even the children. Ugh.
Yep.
I can't play these statements. We see them. They're here. You can see this for yourself. If you don't believe it. If you don't, if you don't believe it, though, here. I wouldn't allow a drop of water
in. Yeah.
Right. I wouldn't allow until the hostages arrive. All right. Gross. All right. Here's member of the Knesset, Kish, before heading to a delegation in Auschwitz on genocide in Gaza. I don't care. There won't be any provisions. I mean,
real men eat quiche.
Hypocrisy. I mean, yes, Gaza Humanitarian Foundation is absolutely a tool of genocide. Anthony Aguilera has been talking about that.
Yeah, they got a fucking racist ass, biker gang running it. Literally.
Yep.
Motherfuckers got the leather and everything.
And again, this just keeps going and going. And this goes back, again, September 29th. This is just recent. Law for Palestine releases 500 plus instances of Israeli incitement. There's another link to more receipts, just in case you didn't have enough here. 255 instances. Here, the final nail in the coffin of genocide denial. Of course, the UN Commission of Inquiry concluding on reasonable grounds that Israel have committed and is continuing to commit the following actus reus of genocide against the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. I mean, not only are they admitting it themselves, now, of course, the UN has Acknowledged it. Now what? Well, how about this 9-point plan? Number one, dismantle the Israeli military and denuclearize the state of Israel. Enough of this denial bullshit. Number two, empty Israel's torture dungeons of the 10,000 plus Palestinian political prisoners and Palestinian hostages that they consider to be prisoners because they didn't commit any crime, haven't been charged, and aren't allowed to see a lawyer. Free Dr. Hussam Abu Safia, for example. We need to ensure a swift withdrawal of 100% of Israeli civilians and soldiers from 100% of the territories occupied in the June 1967 war. You know, that can also be turned around. As these crazy ministers of the Knesset were saying, well, they need to go somewhere. You've got a couple million people, have each country take in 30, 40, 50,000. Well, why not do that for the Israelis then, right? Oh, right. You don't like it when it's turned around on you? Oh,
that already have dual citizenship.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. It works both ways, pal. All right. Send a UN-backed international coalition of doctors, medical workers, aid workers, backed by an armed protection force to provide immediate relief to genocide survivors in Gaza. That would be nice. You know, there are already some that are there that are constantly being bombed and shelled, and a bunch that were Palestinian that have been shot and have been taken off the playing field, of course, completely by design, by sniper fire. I didn't bring that one, but oh my God, a drone went into a hospital and murdered a doctor by shooting him in the head this week. In Gaza, in one of those hospitals. That's the few that are actually left that are makeshift. All right. Next, we need to facilitate talks among Palestinian factions to enable Palestinian elections, self-determination, and statehood. We need to de-radicalize the Israeli Jewish school system. I would say disband it entirely, but yes, de-radicalize that entire agenda. Allow Palestinian refugees the right to return to the country that they, their parents, grandparents, or great-grandparents were forcibly expelled from. All right? And arrest, prosecute, and punish those thousands of Israeli political, military, and media elites responsible for the Holocaust of the 21st century. And I wouldn't stop with Israeli. I would continue on to the U.S., I'd continue on to the UK, I'd continue on to Australia even, and most of the other NATO leaders that sent support, Germany for sure. Yeah, they should all be brought up on a Nuremberg-style hearing. All right, so that is Zach Foster. So give him a follow, historian of Palestine. All right, and then there is finally what the end game for all of this was, and what the intent was from the beginning, was the Ben Gurion Canal and reshaping the entire Middle East. They wanted that land because they want the resources underneath it, and they want an unobstructed path and to create what they want, they consider to be the Ben Gurion Canal. I'll put more in the thumbnail and lay out where this is going to go and a map of it, because I thought there was one here. I've also got a Richard Medhurst clip that I want to show about this and exactly what the Ben Gurion Canal is. All right, but this is from Middle East Monitor from September 17th. Gaza's genocide, the Ben Gurion Canal, and the politics of reconstruction, which is erasure by design. All right. And let me make this a little bigger so everyone can see it. Again, Middle East Monitor. Rajan Solomon. Support independent media. These are the kind of folks that get suppressed. All right. Is that the violence in Gaza is not simply episodic slaughter. It's an engineered campaign of erasure of lives, of livelihoods, memory, and geography. The oldest church in like the history of the world was here in Gaza. They've just leveled it. the oldest library, the oldest soap factory, like ancient stuff that has been standing for thousands of years. And Israel just doesn't give a shit. They're leveling the whole thing. They're done. The independent UN Commission of Inquiry again concluded in June that the pattern of killing, denial of life-sustaining services, and rhetoric of some Israeli officials meet the threshold of genocide. Francesca Albanese, of course, is the UN rapporteur on genocide in Gaza and in Palestinian territories. She's been screaming for a year plus that, yes, they're systematically trying to wipe them out. Yep. To understand what's being lost, we must follow not only the bombs, but the canals, how water, land, and sea are being weaponized, how grand infrastructure fantasies, above all, the idea of a Ben Gurion canal, are being deployed to normalize the dispossession. Across Gaza, water systems, sewage plants, and desalination facilities have been repeatedly destroyed or rendered inoperable. Again, Reef's covered that, how they filled in wells with cement, right, on INN News.
Yep. As well as cast thy bread, going way back, putting typhoid in the water and whatnot.
Right, and hallucinogenics. And then they were giving, they were lacing the flour with, what was it? Some kind of medication that would mess them up.
I mean, pick your poison.
Ibuprofen, maybe? I don't remember what it was. All right, but
yeah.
The UN Office for Coordination on Humanitarian Affairs confirmed that the children line for hours for brackish water while sewage floods streets and disease spreads in overcrowded camps. Yes, what looks like collateral damage is in fact strategy. Without clean water, sanitation, schools, and hospitals, a society cannot reproduce itself, and the memory becomes harder to anchor in place. So, the Ben Gurion Canal is not an idle technical curiosity. First imagined in the 1960s as an Israeli alternative to the Suez, the project has been revived in recent years as planners and boosters tout visionary fixes to regional trade. Proposals suggest linking the Red Sea near Eilat to the Mediterranean, creating a new maritime corridor bypassing the Suez and cutting through the Negev Desert and southern Levant. On its face, the canal promises jobs, ports, and revitalization. In practice, it exposes how reconstruction is being weaponized. Building a canal on this scale would demand vast land acquisition, demolition, and environmental upheaval. If routed alongside or through Gaza's littoral, or as some variant suggests, it becomes an explicit instrument for territorial re-engineering, carving out maritime access, dispossessing communities, and of course, embedding a securitized corridor under Israeli or foreign control. Kind of like, we control the Panama Canal to a point. Although I think we've now given it back, and now the ends are owned by BlackRock, although there was an upheaval about China buying part of it. We're still running the ends of it through BlackRock. We control the gates, as Descent in Bloom wrote, I remember a while ago. So I'm going to stop on this one. I want to show the Richard Medhurst video because it's a really good one. This is from 2 years ago. He talked about this. Again, to show you that this did not start October 7th, although this was after that.
Yeah.
The truth is that the war in Gaza has enormous economic incentives behind it for the US, for the EU, and for Israel. I mentioned some of these in part 1, and I'm going to expand on my analysis in this part 2. See, Israel and the United States have been planning for decades to build what is called the Ben Gurion Canal. This is a rival to the infamous Suez Canal in Egypt. This Ben Gurion Canal will begin at the port city of Eilat and finish right next to, if not directly through, Gaza. The Americans hatched the secret plan with the Israelis in 1963 to detonate over 500 nuclear bombs in the Negev desert with the aim of building this Ben Gurion Canal.
Yep.
You know, this goes without saying, the Suez Canal is one of the most important, quintessential geostrategic assets on the planet. It connects the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea. It is so important to global trade that in 1956, Israel, Britain, and France literally attacked Egypt because it dared to nationalize the Suez Canal, you know, its own territory. To give you an idea how important this is economically, it's situated at the intersection of 3 continents and 2 bodies of water. It cuts shipping times and shipping costs by so much that today, 12% of global trade, 30% of global container traffic pass through the Suez Canal. This is why Israel are absolutely obliterating Gaza. They want no more Palestinians and no more resistance.
Uno scopo, distruggere Gaza. Distruggere questo male assoluto.
Egyptian President Sisi was told in the last weeks that if he accepts Israel's plan to take Palestinians from Gaza and put them in the Sinai Desert, that Israel will pay for this, and the United States will wipe Egypt's national debt. Look at that. And the third aspect about the River Nile. You see, Ethiopia, which is Egypt's neighbor, built something in 2011 called the Renaissance Dam, which cut water to both Sudan and Egypt. And this is, it's caused a huge argument ever since. Now, Ethiopia has a significant Jewish population. The United States, and specifically Israel, could theoretically lean on Ethiopia, as they have done before, and pressure it not to fill up its reservoirs, which is very good for Egypt, and shall we say would incentivize Egypt to take in people from Gaza. You see, you need to understand this Ben Gurion Canal is the last piece of the puzzle. It will cement the Americans' and Israelis' control over the world's most important shipping lane, giving them total control over maritime trade. So follow me down the map. The Red Sea, which would feed into the Ben Gurion Canal, it already has a huge presence of American and Israeli troops. Did you know, for example, that Israel's largest military base is located in the Red Sea on Dahlak Island in Eritrea? This base was hit by Yemen in the last few days in support of Gaza because Yemen is an integral part of the resistance axis. Control this.
Of course, we're talking about Israel.
Important shipping lane by putting troops right opposite Yemen in Djibouti in Somalia and what is called the Horn of Africa. The Americans have tried to control this area by attacking Yemen from the rear, using Saudi Arabia, using other Gulf countries, doing their own drone strikes. This war lasted for over 6 years. It devastated Yemen, and the media barely covered it. Another one of Yemen's important geostrategic assets is the beautiful island of Socotra, which is located, talk about geostrategic. It's located between the Horn of Africa, the Gulf of Aden, the Arabian Sea, and the Indian Ocean. See, the UAE, after normalizing ties with Israel, they helped Israel to put spy bases and establish a military presence on Socotra Island. The importance of this Bab el-Mandeb Strait is that both Iran and China need to use this shipping lane for Iran to export fuel and for China as the world's largest economy and largest trading partner of most countries. There is de facto already an entire Cold War taking place right up the Gulf Coast in the Strait of Hormuz. The tanker war. You see, what happens is that the US and Israel, they try to sink Iranian fuel ships, and then Iran responds in kind. You see, Britain also tried playing this stupid game as well in the Strait of Gibraltar. They hijacked an Iranian ship, and only when Iran did the same to a British ship did they finally, get the message and let the Iranian ship go. The US have gone so far as to even steal Iranian fuel tankers and sell off the cargo. A practice that is commonly referred to as piracy. Later on, in the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, up into the Red Sea, and of course, by replacing the Suez Canal with the Ben Gurion Canal. This final piece of the puzzle will allow the US and Israel to dominate world maritime trade. They can use this not only to the benefit of their own economies, but to damage and to attack other countries' economies, like China, like Iran, Egypt, Syria, Lebanon. This is literally highway robbery on the high seas. And the Ben Gurion Canal is key to all of this. Egypt could stop this war in Gaza right now by shutting down the Suez Canal. It is bewildering that they don't do this. If not for Gaza's sake, do it for your own sake. Egypt's economy is going to be leveled if this Ben Gurion Canal is built. It will completely undermine the Suez Canal. Where is Saudi Arabia? Why don't they threaten to cut oil production for 1 week, one bloody day, just to stop this war? Or is there something in it for them where God to be leveled and replaced with this canal? Where are the Arabs? Where are the Muslims? Look at the European Union. They have nothing in common with each other except geography. They have over 24 languages. Whereas the Arab world, from Morocco to Oman, have a common tongue, common geography, common religion, common history, and common culture. I mean, this automatically makes them a global superpower, not to mention the natural resources, the geographical landmass, and the population, which are essential factors and criteria of hard power.
In the Arab city of Cordoba were 2 miles of public lighting in the streets
Or
when London was a village.
It's not only the size of the Arab world, but look at the straits. All the vital straits are located in Arab countries. The Strait of Gibraltar, which is Jabal Tariq, the Suez Canal, the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, and the Strait of Hormuz between Iran and Oman. European colonial powers understood this a long time ago, how powerful Arab countries could be, and they planted Israel right smack dab in the middle to sow chaos and try to win over these Arab kingdoms, bring them over to their side and make them normalize ties with Israel. All these borders in the Middle East did not exist until 1916, until the same European powers that back Israel today drew them. This is the Middle East before, and this is the Middle East after Sykes-Picot, after the French and the British ruined it. This divide and conquer strategy is all about carving up the Arab world, creating instability, and controlling resources and the straits.
Sounds like balkanization in a way, right? Like that's what it reminds me of. You know, that's basically been the plan for Russia too. Let me refresh that and get back to 731.
These powers, they always play this sectarian card. You know, they love to pit Sunni against Shia. They did this in Iraq, they did it in Lebanon, and now they try to do it between Arabs and try to pit them against Iran. In Palestine, they tell you, oh, it's about Jews against Muslims. No, it absolutely bloody isn't. The West are afraid of unity between Arabs themselves and between Arabs and Muslim countries. This war has nothing to do with Hamas. That's not what it's about. You know why people are wondering, how is this mass slaughter of civilians happening? The ardent support for Israel from the West.
Europe stands with Israel.
As we stand steadfast with Israel.
The United States stands with Israel.
Why are they allowing this to happen in broad daylight? They won't even call for a ceasefire. What's controversial about that? The answer is because this is their project too. This is also a European and American imperialist project, and they are complicit. This long-term plan concerns and screws the whole region. It will impact everybody in the Middle East negatively. And that is precisely why the whole resistance axis, Palestine, Yemen, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, are all involved in this fight on multiple fronts.
Okay, so then Palestine
and Russia and China
Iraq,
on top of that.
Well, Yemen they're systematically going after. Syria and Lebanon they're already going after. So Iraq would be next, then Iran, then Russia and China. I also want to give a shout out really quick. The logo up there and in the bottom left corner are designed by friend of the show and one of the OG fams, Mona Carmona, actually designed that for Richard. So I always smile every time I see that logo with the lion in the Palestinian flag colors and the RM logo up there. Good.
Russia and China as being also complicit in this economically.
Well, yes, in that they are not sanctioning or taking action against any of it. Yeah, because they're going to profit and they'll be fine either way. So, again, shout out to Indie Media Award honoree Richard Medhurst. Richard, of course, is being censored heavily in the UK right now under Section 12. He's still somewhat active over on Twitter/X, whatever you want to call it, at Richie Medhurst. He does an occasional live stream, but not very often. But, you know, again, hate to see him muzzled. Nobody should be censored for having views like this, but we kind of have all kind of expected that this was how it was going to be, especially in the UK. And he's also apparently been charged with something in Austria, even though we haven't seen any statements yet. Still waiting to hear what's going to come out of that. The only one I know that's actually being charged in 2 different countries, so he wears that badge with honor, I'm sure. So we are not being monetized on our YouTube channel, so if you're able to and a means, please support the media you want to see. Those are the people that have supported INN already. That's our wall of fame. The ways to do that are Cash App, $ Indie News Network. We got Ko-fi, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network. We got paypal.me/Indie News Network. And IndieNewsNow.com's our self-hosted website. And then we've got INNNewsletter.com. We're going to be later, we'll be live later for boats smashing into other boats over at INN Newsletter. And we're going to be uncensored. So no YouTube tonight. We'll be on Rumble on the Ocho. We'll be on BitChute. We'll be on, I think, Kick, maybe. But we'll be on Odyssey. So we'll be on all those places and INN Newsletter and Indie News Now. So we'll be all those places. Yeah, it's insane. All those Nazi style statements. I saw a couple of people saying that it's gross what's going on, and the fact that they're still allowed to exist as a country. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Steve Gale's Free Richard Medhurst. Yeah, that'd be a good idea. But yeah, that video is from a couple of years ago, amazingly enough. And he saw what was coming and that they need to stop the plans for the Ben Gurion Canal. No, okay. So Sean's not on Twitter. So yeah, it'd be hard to see him anywhere else. He's done a couple of YouTube streams or Rumble streams, but not very many lately. So the next segment that I had is just some of the other things that are going on around the flotilla. Because there was a lot of news around this bigger fleet that had gone towards Gaza. What was going to happen this time? They can't stop us all. Well, they figured out a way to. Israel, so one by one started picking off the boats. Yeah, Descent in Bloom says she stayed up till 2 a.m. watching that shit. Yeah, it was hard to watch. It was kind of, they've done this before and they know exactly how to kind of handle it. So I want to show a couple of things that happened throughout this. Right now, there are some people, I believe, still in custody in an Israeli prison that are unaccounted for. Some of them have already been released and deported. And we've got the statements from Sarah Wilkinson, British activist and grandmother, who has also been charged under Section 12 in the past. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to her when she gets home. I hope she'll be safe and fine, and they don't throw the book at her for this. But these people, God bless her. She's dedicated to the cause. So I want to bring this short video first from Guy Christensen, who, before we do that, I want to change that. We've talked about Guy last couple of weeks and how he's being systematically targeted by the Zionist lobby in the United States. They're trying to silence him because he is having an impact and they want to shut him up and they can't. So this is what Guy had to say here. Let's unmute and
this confirms what we all knew. Netanyahu personally approved the terrorist attacks against 2 vessels, part of the global Sumud flotilla, when they were docked in Tunisia at the beginning of last month. Israel launched drones from submarines in the Mediterranean that carried incendiary devices that they used to firebomb. And there's footage of this, firebomb 2 vessels of this humanitarian mission carrying life-saving aid to the coast of Gaza, which Israel has since abducted 497 citizens of the world from 44 countries and thrown them in detainment to stop them from helping Gaza. This comes from a CBS report, a leak. I never thought I would be talking about CBS on this page because they're so complicit, but their sources are 2 American intelligence officials who spoke under the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak about the confidential national security matters. So thank you. If you want to join in the next flotilla, you can go to their website where you can support them, volunteer, fund, organize the next one. The organizers are promising 1,000 ships, 20 times the estimated 45 to 50 ships that were part of the Sumud flotilla. They're going to do it soon, so get organized. Thank you, and free Palestine.
Shout out to Guy for that. 1,000 ships, man, that would be something. Just to see so the incendiary devices. Let's remember what did Israel claim that it was? Reef, refresh my memory.
Do what?
The incendiary devices when Israel attacked the flotilla in Tunisia with the drones. All right, on the open water, and they denied that it was them. And we know that the spy flights were being also provided by Keir Starmer and maybe even an American plane. But what did they claim it was? I seem to recall there was something about a cigarette, right? They claimed it was a cigarette.
Right.
Right? But here you actually see a picture. He shares a photo of the incendiary device. I can't find it again here in this video, but he definitely, he shows it. That's what they dropped, burning onto the ship. Okay? Through drones, but it was a lit cigarette. That's the kind of gaslighting they're doing. Now, the fact that CBS report came from two unnamed American intelligence officials leads me to question the whole thing, honestly. Because when was the last time an American intelligence official told the truth? Now, this week was also Yom Kippur. And, we've talked about the fact that I'm Jewish and I'm disgusted by what's happening in the name of my religion right now. And there are a couple of Jewish members. Hanukkah. Thank you. No, it wasn't Hanukkah. It was Yom Kippur. That's a couple of months from now. But this gentleman, David Adler, and I do not know him, but he chose to, he's the co-general coordinator for Progressive International, which is the organization that coordinated and launched these flotillas. They also have organized the Gaza tribunals and some other, they do progressive publications. They've been around for a while. So he made a tweet the other night that resonated with me. So I wanted to read it and I believe that he is one of the people still in captivity right now. I don't think that he's been heard from yet, but greetings from the global Sumud flotilla as we make our final approach to Gaza. Today I'm writing a very personal letter to you all, a letter about what it means to be Jewish on a mission that is set to arrive to the red zone during Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish calendar. I almost never write as a Jew, nor do I. But I'm going to just read this through. I share the exhaustion of being forced to put Jewish feeling first. When a genocide's been committed in the name of Zionist national interest, and when activists have been detained, tortured, and deported in the name of our quote-unquote safety. But today I felt compelled to write in that register as one of the only Jews on this mission, which brings together over 500 people from more than 40 countries across the world. I believe that the timing of our flotilla is not coincidental. On the contrary, I believe it's a blessing that we're approaching interception at the onset of Yom Kippur, our annual Day of Atonement, which calls on us to reflect on our sins and what can be done to repair them in the spirit of Tikkun Olam. How can we atone for what's been committed in our name? How can we seek forgiveness for sins that multiply by the hour as bombs and bullets rain on Gaza? How can we possibly take seriously our mandate to heal the world when the state of Israel is so determined to destroy it? If there's any part of the Torah that I still remember, it's this obligation it bestows upon us. Justice, justice you shall pursue. How could we stand by while the state of Israel perverts this holy obligation overseeing a Holocaust of the Palestinian people. I joined this flotilla just like any other delegate to defend humanity before it's too late. But on Yom Kippur, I'm reminded that I also am here because my Jewish heritage demands it. As a mere adolescent, my grandfather, Jacques Adler, pictured, joined the Parisian resistance against the Nazis, putting his life on the line to sabotage their operations, even as his friends and family were sent to their deaths in concentration camps. That's the tradition to which I'm called, and the definition of justice, quote unquote, that feels true to my Jewish identity. As the same genocidal rage that targeted my ancestors is now taken up by its principal victims. Yom Kippur is a day of fasting, a way to manifest our atonement in physical form. But for the last 2 years, the starving people of Gaza have had no choice but to forego their daily bread. If Israeli forces intercept us on Yom Kippur, then let them see what their true atonement looks like. We'll let them see what true atonement looks like. Not fasting in comfort while starving their neighbors. Not praying in safety while dropping bombs over their heads. Atonement means action. So as the sun sets tonight and the fasting begins, I hope that fellow Jews will join me in redefining their approach to atonement, together with silent prayer and toward courageous action to put an end to this horrific genocide. Gemar Chatma Tova. And that's him, obviously, and that's his grandfather, and he looks a fucking lot like his grandfather, right? It's like kind of scary. You can certainly see the resemblance. Damn. And a couple of things really quick. Yeah, just damn. Reminded, yes, Jewish heritage, you need to ask for forgiveness. And certainly I don't think that the Israelis are asking forgiveness of the people that they're dropping the bombs on. So that's what, if they, originally, that they claim to be, this is in the name of their religion. That's what their religion is supposed to do. To ask forgiveness of the people who they've wronged over the previous year. I just thought it was an interesting perspective. I'm glad he went as, not that it matters, again, because it's just opposing Zionism at this point. You got more Christian Zionists than Jewish Zionists, although they are still claiming to do this in the name of Jews. And it's beyond frustrating because they are constantly making that twist between religion and race and heritage. And it's just wrong. It's just wrong. So, okay, so this is somebody else who posted that this was with David a year ago. Haven't heard from him in over 12 hours. He's a U.S. citizen, so LA, if you're based there, consider contacting your state and federal representatives, although they don't give a shit. We know that. Alex Padilla.
And they really don't.
No, they really don't. But not only was that guy David on there and Sarah Wilkinson, but Mint Press News' Greg Stoker was on the flotilla. He was doing videos and recording and posting from the flotilla while they were on the water, as well as from Tunisia. He has been taken, and I don't believe that at this point also he has been released yet. I haven't seen that, but this is 3 days ago. According to reports, the veteran boat known as Olwaya, carrying Mint Press podcaster Greg Stoker, has been out of contact for several hours. Communication lost. Cameras reportedly stopped functioning as Israeli vessels approached. There are growing suspicions that he and others on board may have been kidnapped. And this is kidnapping. It was in international waters. This did not happen in Israeli waters or in waters that are, indigenous to Gaza. And he did a live hit as the stuff is raining down. And Caitlin Johnstone actually painted a painting of him smoking on the Flotilla, and here's the video. So let me play that. It's only 14 seconds long. Oh no! Oh, I can't play it. Okay, it's a screen cap. 2:50 a.m. local time. Israeli Navy trying to spray us with skunk water. Still in international waters. Save Gaza. And that's him smoking a butt, kind of hanging off the edge of the boat, trying to show that there's something behind him that's launching that skunk, that disgusting smelling chemical spray. All right. And then she's got pictures of oil on canvas. She's incredible. There it is with some of her other artwork behind there. There's one of Elon. Right. And there it is up close. Wow. Really up close. Amazing. I love seeing her. That's acrylic. That must not be oil. That must be acrylic. Right.
Sure.
She says somewhere what the
indie art evaluator.
All right, there's a little video of it. Right? How could she do this to me? That's right. Well, so that's the Greg Stoka painting that I thought was really kick-ass. Shout out to Caitlin. Another Indie Media Award honoree, as is Mint Press News, who Greg is a podcaster for. Lots of that going around. Also in context, connected to Richard Medhurst. So this is the Sarah Wilkins.
Right here, Sarah. How are you? I'm all right. A little bit worse
Wilkins
than
too.
but I'm okay. I'm just trying to stay out of the ambulance. So I'm amazed by this. That in Turkey, I didn't want to pass out and miss all of this welcoming. It's amazing.
Wonderful. Well, congratulations. That was a long
We
trip.
nearly made it. I saw Gaza. I saw it. And we were 37 miles away.
Yes.
And just at the last minute, Gaza made me lose focus, and we got intercepted. And well done, Gaza. For being there. I hope they saw us. That is the important thing. I wanted them to see us before we went down.
They were waiting for you. They were waiting for you.
Merhaba, merhaba.
Thank you. Thank you.
So that guy actually right behind there, I don't know why I can't stop it, but that guy in the back, he actually had reported about that the Israelis had beaten up this guy. He's Turkish. He said in an interview
Turkish dude, I think, right?
Right, that the Israelis had dragged Greta by the hair and abused the hell out of her, tried to humiliate her, made her kiss the Israeli flag and wrapped her around in it, like paraded her around or something, like really disgusting stuff. All right. We got 20 more seconds here. And we're back. And let's wait for everything to come back again. I don't know what is going on with this thing. I gotta fix this, man. This is really bad. Okay. So one other positive that came out of this is that while the flotilla didn't reach Gaza, it distracted the Zionist occupation long enough for Gazans to be able to fish without peace. What seemed like failure became a victory. Okay. And they made it possible in ways they could never have predicted. So I don't want to really show the video because I was basically told that, look, if you're showing people's faces and locations, you're possible. We're back.
Shut up.
That's what somebody's trying to make me do, is shut up. So we're done again. Now we're cooked again. Okay. And we're dropping more frames. I'm really frustrated right now with this. Fuck Israel. Fuck Israel up the ass with a schmooly dildo. Fuck Israel. All right? All day long. Fuck Israel. And we're still not dropping frames now. Audio's breaking up too. Oh, that's awesome. All right. I don't know how long I'm going to be here for. So while we're here, please support independent media because obviously somebody's trying to fuck us over and keep us from fucking live streaming. What the fuck? The ways that you can support us and fuck these assholes up the ass is to give us money on Cash App, $, Indie News Network, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, paypal.me/Indie News Network, IndieNewsNow.com, INNewsletter.com, and we are hopefully live still. It looks like at IndieMediaToday.com, but it looks grainy as hell. I have no idea why, and I'm really ready to blow my stack right now. Because I got a lot more. And if they're going to censor me over that, oh boy, we got a bunch more for you. All right? Because we're not stopping there. We're going to keep recording and we're going to keep doing this. I don't give a shit. All right? Next, I've got 274 Palestinian journalists that Israel has murdered since October 7th. It didn't start October 7th, but they certainly have been murdering people at a record pace since October 7th, and here they are. This goes on for 5 minutes.
Yep.
5 minutes. 274.
200 and...
According to this list, 274. I don't want to play the music. I don't want to get censored or,
copyrighted.
Yeah. Although, I just saw where this came from, so we may end up getting copyrighted anyway.
For it anyway. Yeah.
What for? I mean, it's senseless. Because they were telling the truth.
Yep.
Silenced for telling the truth. What is this golden monarch? According to BetBeat, Google deceptively changed Greta's profile pic of her to look aggro. Oh my goodness. Doesn't surprise me. Again, all these murdered journalists, photojournalists, writers, commentators, videographers. There needs to be a reckoning of some kind. Some kind of justice that these people's memories deserve. Because if it were 274 Americans, let alone American journalists, What do you think? What do you think the United States government would do to the government that did that to them?
We saw how that happened, pretty much.
To the government that did that to them. Yes, Vicky, journalists. Not even counting the doctors and nurses and paramedics and children and teachers and women. And some of them were teachers and women here. But they were all journalists. And many of them were wearing press vests and identifying themselves as press. And this is only since October 7th, 2023. It would take 30 hours to scroll through 100,000 dead. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, when they read the children alone under the age of 1, it was like 1,000 names, and that took over an hour. All right, we're almost at the end here, but I thought we owed it to their memories to play the full video and show all their names. What a waste. What a shame. Seriously, like, and fuck Israel for that. Well, let's not forget Indie Media Award honoree Matt Kennard, who's been reporting on the spy flights that have been going on from Cyprus, from the UK bases, and how they've been providing air cover and support to Israel, which is a war crime. And Matt says, don't stop protesting the Zionist Holocaust in Gaza. Your taxes are paying for it. This UK spy plane is still flying daily over Gaza and passing intelligence to the Israeli military in real time, which Keir Starmer said that they're not doing anymore. We need to escalate until this participation ends, and UK ministers are at The Hague. And look at them, literally just circling. And this isn't even Gaza. I guess this is the southern part of Gaza, like Khan Yunis. They don't need to survey the north.
Your sensors should be picking up everything.
Speaking of sensors, we're dropping frames again. Yay! Because heaven forbid we show the map showing that they're systematically trying to spy on and target people for extermination. Okay, here's another one from Kathy. This is Gaza. This is apocalyptic. This is hell on earth. And here's another one that I brought. This is Gaza City, when they detonated a series of bombs across rooftops that they planted and set them all off simultaneously. This almost seems like it should be at the end of boats. Look at all of those structures on fire simultaneously. Horrible. So, fuck Israel for all of that, because they're continuing to do all of that. Now, I've also got one other story, and then we'll get to our lightning round. We can get to some boats. And we've talked about Mahmoud Khalil. We talked about Ramesia Ozturk. And we talked about them being silenced for speaking out against the Israeli occupation and against the Israeli genocide in Gaza and the ethnic cleansing that's been happening since October 7th. Mahmoud Khalil was famously the negotiator that tried to get the Columbia students out of Hins Hall. And then he was targeted and put into an ICE detention facility for months. And for at times without access to counsel, in overcrowded places, and they are trying to deport him, the Trump administration still. All right. And there was a judge. So I'm going to, I used to read this publication pretty often. I found that they were spewing the Associated Press often. And I'm like, seems a little corporate media-ish. But once in a while, they churn out a decent original article. The publication is Courthouse News. So Courthouse News published this article that a judge rips ICE targeting of pro-Palestinian protesters as unconstitutional. All right, that the ruling comes after a 2-week bench trial in July where college professors testified that ICE going after student protesters chilled First Amendment rights on campuses across the country. And I don't think there's really much doubt about that. There's one of the protesters that was at Columbia University in New York City. All right, let me make this a little bigger. A federal judge on Tuesday lambasted top Trump administration officials for illegally trying to deport pro-Palestinian students to strike fear into protesters and chill free speech. That's illegal. In a scathing 161-page ruling, U.S. District Judge William Young, a Reagan appointee in Boston's federal court, so you can't say that it was a liberal activist judge appointed by an Obama or a Biden or a Clinton. No, this is a Reagan appointed judge. You know, the Republicans still lament Reagan. All right. He delivered perhaps the sharpest legal rebuke of Trump's immigration policy to date. He slammed Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Secretary of Homeland Security dog shooter Kristi Noem for conspiring to intentionally chill the rights of freedom of speech of the students, specifically immigrants. He likened mask-wearing ICE officials or officers to cowardly desperados and the despised KKK. And he accused Trump of stoking political polarization to keep Americans from fighting back. And this was before he saw ICE targeting and terrorizing American cities like Chicago and LA and Portland now.
Right.
All right. Quote, I fear President Trump believes the American people are so divided that today they will not stand up, fight for, and defend our most precious constitutional values so long as they're lulled into thinking their own personal interests are not affected. That's what a liberal is. Is he correct? Young found that Rubio and Noem, defendants in this case, alongside the president, unlawfully used their departments to scare non-citizens from expressing pro-Palestinian sentiment on college campuses by arresting them for deportation proceedings. 100% true. The practice is purportedly part of a broader Trump administration goal to quell anti-Semitism, quote-unquote, on college campuses, which in practice has resulted in several schools and students being threatened or punished for on-campus demonstrations during Israel's ongoing bombing campaign in the Gaza Strip. Ethnic cleansing and genocide, too. Young's ruling came after a 2-week bench trial this summer over federal immigration authorities' targeting of students like Mahmoud Khalil and Ramesio Ozturk. Throughout the proceedings, Young stoked doubt over the government's rationale for pursuing these students' removal, as well as the tactics employed by immigration officers. They're charging them effectively with supporting terrorism and therefore claiming that as justification for pulling their visas and then putting them into a detention facility for months without any kind of habeas corpus due process, and then scheduling it and setting it up so that they end up deported, like they just did with Mario Guevara. I didn't bring that this week, but he was sent to El Salvador. Commenting on ICE officers shielding their faces with masks during arrests, again, it would seem that the common sense inference is to spread fear. He went one step further, again, in the ruling, writing that ICE goes masked for a single reason: to terrorize Americans into quiescence. I think that it's also to protect their identity so that they're not exposed on social media, because that's happened before. Small wonder that ICE often seems to need our respected military to guard them as they go about implementing our immigration laws, he wrote. It should be noted that our troops do not ordinarily wear masks. Can you imagine a masked Marine? Throughout the lengthy order, Young, who's grappled with several other cases against the government this year, voiced general concerns about federal agencies being used to silence critics, which they have been. Quote, perhaps we're now afraid to stick our necks out, he wrote. If the distinguished Homeland Security Intelligence Agency can be weaponized to squelch free speech rights of a small, hapless group of non-citizens in our midst, so too can the Federal Home Loan Mortgage Corporation and the audit divisions of the IRS and Social Security Administration be unconstitutionally weaponized against the president's ever-growing list of enemies or opponents he hates, notwithstanding that political persecution is anathema to our Constitution and everything for which America stands. But they're shredding that. They don't give a shit. Right? Young also called this case perhaps the most important one to ever come across his desk, agreed, as it grapples with the question of whether non-citizens possess the same free speech rights citizens do. And every Supreme Court ruling in history has shown that, yes, they do. Again, the court answers this constitutional question that unequivocally, yes, they do. It remains unclear what remedy he'll order to uphold his ruling. He noted that this will be a difficult task given Trump's unprecedented expansion of the executive in history of simply ignoring laws and norms. Still, he said he'd schedule a remedy hearing promptly. Why not? Especially if they're not going to do it, you might as well shoot the moon. Tell them everything that they need to do. But the U.S. is under no obligation to allow foreign aliens, quote unquote, to come to our country, commit acts of anti-American, pro-terrorist, and anti-Semitic hate or incite violence. That's a State Department spokesperson said in a statement about the ruling. We will continue to revoke the visas of those who put the safety of our citizens at risk. They didn't put the safety of anyone at risk, you fucking lying douchebags. He tried to negotiate a hostage, a building takeover to get the people out safely. Insane. Right? Homeland Security spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin told Courthouse News that with his order, Young decided to stoke the embers of hatred. No, that's what Americanism is. That is what freedom of speech and expression is. Watch, now they're going to charge this judge with supporting terrorism because he expressed support for the students. Quote, less than a week after targeting our Dallas ICE facility, a craven judge is smearing and demonizing ICE law enforcement, likening them to terrorists. They are terrorists. You don't need to liken them. They are terrorists. They are They smashed a window where there was a car window with a baby in there. They're pulling people out of cars. They're being violent. They're arresting them without charge. They're disappearing people in the middle of the street. And they're beating up their neighbors who were speaking out on their behalf. Higher education groups filed the underlying lawsuit in March, arguing that ICE detaining students for their Palestinian advocacy has created a climate of repression and fear on university campuses around the country, which was, again, exactly the intent that Beitar US and the Zionists of America and all these organizations that got into Trump's ear and are working alongside Stephen Miller are trying to perpetrate and perpetuate. They want to get all Muslims off of campuses. They want to get anyone who is supporting the Palestinian people off of campuses, including Jewish students, by the way. Anyone supporting Palestine is now considered to be supporting terrorism. It's insane. Stop murdering babies, you're a terrorist. Advocate for murdering babies, you're just fine. Welcome to 2025 Israel Logic. Brown University International Studies professor Naji Al-Ali testified in July that the arrests of Khalil and Ozturk caused her to rethink planned research trips to Lebanon and Iraq, calling the trips too risky due to the actions of the Trump administration. I would also say due to the actions of Israel bombing the shit out of Lebanon. But yes, the Trump administration permitting it and not stopping them from doing so, sure.
And
I'll go ahead.
The latest symptom in a long line of fucking bullshit that got us here. You know, like the Deporter-in-Chief was not that long ago. You know, like me and Colin covered when Biden was office, the way he affected immigration status and made it more difficult. You know, all that shit.
Yeah.
Gave more funding to ICE. You know, like they do this shit in little bits.
And Ali likened the actions to the stories that her Iraqi family used to tell her about repression in their home country. Same thing with people who talk about Russians and the Soviet Union in the communist whatever. It wasn't really coming, but the 80s, you know, where there were microphones in the walls and you couldn't say anything ever, and etc. All right. I know that the dictatorship and repression, I know about it, and my relatives in Iraq lived with that fear of being picked up from the street. That was under Saddam Hussein. It really reminded me of that. Khalil, Ozturk, and other students were arrested by federal immigration officers earlier this year after Marco Rubio deemed them threats to the nation's foreign policy, which again is insane. Ramesia Ozturk wrote an op-ed in a school newspaper, co-authored it. She wasn't even the only one to write it. She was the only foreign student to co-author it. And all of a sudden they decided that she needed to be targeted because, again, they were on a list. Her name was on a list that Beitar U.S. handed to the Trump administration. Khalil helped lead widely publicized student protests at Columbia University against Israel's bombing in the Gaza Strip, while Ozturk co-authored an op-ed. But again, I'm not even sure that Khalil really led the protests. He led some, but he wasn't like living at the encampment. He was living in the dorms. He actually said that he was against some of this stuff, if I remember correctly. I think they're like rewriting his history a little bit. Courts have since rejected Khalil's and Ozturk's detentions on that ground and ordered them to be released, which they are still pending deportation hearings. Other professors testified at the trial that the students' arrests are it did chill their own First Amendment rights. Another professor, Megan Hiska from Northwestern, said that she was fearful of deportation on the basis of high-profile public speech that expressed dissent with the Trump administration or its policies. I don't blame her. Although, I mean, yes, but we need to speak out. Testimony like this backed up the education group's claims that the Trump admin is terrorizing students and faculty for their exercise of First Amendment rights. Yes, they don't believe that everyone is entitled to First Amendment rights, even though they are. Young has overseen other cases against the Trump admin. The judge previously ruled against the government's broad cuts to the NIH funding, finding that the admin engaged in palpable discrimination in its targeting of DEI initiatives, which they certainly did. So, and again, just remember, who's behind all this? While it's Trump, it's Israel. Again, Israel is orchestrating all of this because of the pro-Palestinian protesters that are protesting the genocide and bombing that they are perpetrating and that they are executing on a daily basis. That's why. It's all in support of Israel. And we all know that Marco Rubio's biggest funder over the years is a wild, rabid Zionist by the name of Norman Bremen. Norman Bremen is the reason why Marco Rubio was in the Senate and why he has the job that he has now. And now he is cashing in and ordering his little Marco to do this and to listen to Trump, who is listening to his masters in Israel, clearly, the Adelsons, his funders. I hate to say it, again, this is not antiseptic. All right. This is legit. Hey, yeah, I wish it weren't the case, but it's true. You know, the famous Dwight Schrute thing. And of course, YouTube is not going to want to remonetize our channel for talking about stuff like that. So if you're able to and it means, please support the media you want to see.
Money, please.
Notice how we don't get censored when we're talking about that, but only when we're really trashing Israel. Cash App, $ Indie News Network, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, paypal.me/Indie News Network, that indienewsnow.com. That's our self-hosted site where we've got the ability to support the media with a Stripe donation or tip, or you can purchase some merch. And then you've got INNnewsletter.com. We're going to be live there in a little bit for boats smashing into other boats, and IndieMediaToday.com, where we're live right now, and you can pick up an annual or monthly subscription membership. Descent in Bloom actually upgraded hers from monthly to an annual this week. So thank you for that. Really appreciate it. Support independent media. So I have a couple of things I wanted to whip through in the lightning round. I'm not going to read them all, but I want to share them, and the links will be in the description afterwards. But the first one is another video by Guy Christensen, and this is about the permanent ceasefire and how Israel, once again, doesn't stop bombing. I don't know if Guy's new to this, but this has been the pattern. I think this is what he's going to talk about.
The Palestinian resistance just accepted Trump and Netanyahu's 20-point plan for a permanent ceasefire and an end of the genocide, and Trump called on Truth Social for Israel to stop bombing Gaza, and they didn't stop. They're bombing Gaza City even harder. They slaughtered 72 Palestinians with bombs in the last 24 hours, just with bombs. Who knows how many others have been killed by starvation, by disease, by getting shot by an IDF soldier in Gaza. This 20-point plan, like I said, includes a permanent ceasefire, which is why the Palestinian resistance accepted this. They're desperate for a permanent ceasefire. They've been desperate. They've been accepting these proposals, and Israel just backs out of every single one of them. So we have yet to see if they will do the same here. Despite UN experts warning that this plan is in violation of international law in and of itself, as it puts Gaza out of the control of the Palestinians, it puts foreign leaders, politicians, and companies in charge of Gaza and not the Palestinians themselves. It calls for the resistance to disarm and all these other things, but there's an exchange of hostages, a staged withdrawal from Gaza. So we'll see what is yet to happen. But remember, the resistance is negotiating with terrorists, with people who don't even see them as human, and it's really, I hope for the best. And I'm not going to tell them whether or not, I'm not going to tell Palestinians whether or not they should accept this or that plan. It's not my job to do that. It's our job to elevate their voices, stop this genocide, stop their oppression, stop Israeli apartheid, and free Palestine once and for all. Thank you, guys. You can follow me on Substack using the link in my bio for free to not lose me as TikTok falls under Zionist control with this new sale. Thank you, and free Palestine.
All right. So there was some kind of a deal agreed to. It still remains to be seen whether there will be a ceasefire and what's going to happen as a result. They're still talking about moving the Palestinians out, but there's no answer as to where. It's not good. So fuck Israel for that again, and for still bombing even after there was a permanent ceasefire plan that wasn't even meeting any kind of standards, and they still won't even agree to do that. So there were a couple of other things that were happening in the world beyond Gaza and Israel, and I wanted to dedicate a lot of time tonight to that, but Senton Bloom actually wrote a couple of articles this week that I wanted to mention. One of them was about what's going on in Oklahoma and their state-sponsored political grooming of children.
Where the wind goes whipping through the plains?
Sweeping down the plains or something like that, Oklahoma, where Chase Miller goes sweeping down the plains, and Halo Benson, we're going to talk about her in a minute too. But this was all about how the head of the schools resigned, but before he did, he turned over their agenda effectively to Turning Point. How about that? The 1776 agenda. Okay. And other states are already testing this. I'm guessing she's going to talk about Florida or Pennsylvania. All right. And that they tried doing this in Pennsylvania a couple of summers ago. We called that out, and they hired a consultant that was, Louisiana and Texas tried mandating Ten Commandments displays, right? But yeah, Pennsylvania, I remember them trying to do this very vividly a couple of summers ago. So check this one out. Again, the link will be in the description in the Substack over at indiemediatoday.com afterwards. What Club America really teaches our kids, it's indoctrination, it's programming for sure. Institutional,
like PragerU and all that shit.
Right. Okay. There is a God. He is not man or man-made. You know, again, fuck atheism, by the way. You know, or separation of church and state.
What?
That's I mean, that's what these people are saying.
Yes.
Right. So that's this article about Oklahoma. And then we've also got this article that she published the other day that, man, that it's a heartbreaking headline. He took his son to daycare, and minutes later, ICE shot him dead. Yes, that's for real. ICE claims Silverio Villegas Gonzalez, okay, that he dragged an agent with his car. Surveillance footage shows otherwise. On September 12th, a 38-year-old single father of two woke up like he did every morning. He got his boys ready for their day. Then he got ready for another day of working to support his kids. All right, his mornings probably looked a lot like mine or yours at some point, an ordinary morning in a city filled with ordinary mornings. Backpacks packed, shoes finally on the right feet, lunches tucked neatly inside bags. Father kisses his 7-year-old goodbye at school, carries his 3-year-old into daycare. He has sole custody of his kids, and that was all they had. He was all they had. In that last moment with his youngest, maybe he lingered a breath longer, brushing the kid's hair back, promising he'd return that afternoon like he always did. A promise that would have died almost instantly, shattered by ICE's bullets. He was shot and killed within 500 feet from the daycare where his 3-year-old still believed his father would come back. Jesus Christ. All right, that's the distance between where he was killed and where he had dropped his kids off. Just awful. ICE conducted a vehicle stop. They claim he refused to allow law enforcement to follow their commands and drove his car at the officers. One of them was hit by the car and dragged a significant distance. Fearing for his life, the officer fired his weapon and he was killed. Okay. The worst they could even dig up on this guy was for a speeding ticket from more than 10 years ago, going 31 miles an hour over the speed limit. That's what they tried to inflate into a history of crime. If you ever did anything wrong, that's what they do to you. So check this out. I mean, look out for your neighbors because the government's coming for them. I've never seen it. Nobody's ever seen it quite like this here. Not in decades. You know, this is like getting to 50s level Red Scare McCarthyism, people turning their neighbors in type of behavior. And yeah, it's brutal. So again, go follow dissentingbloom.substack.com. Go check her out over there and subscribe and read those pieces and some other ones she's published across the last couple of weeks. Thank you to whoever just hooked that up.
Thank you for the $10, Kieran Pine. Appreciate you.
Appreciate that. We're going to talk in a second about what Kieran's been organizing. And we're going to get to that actually now. Next, we're going to get to the GoFundMe. So first, we've got Shanda. Shanda did a Beauty and the Boomer After Dark last night. Check that out. And we just published it over at Oz's Substack. What is it? It's called ozunfiltered.substack.com. Again, she's trying to raise $5,000. There's a link to her GoFundMe at Oz's Substack on the most recent post. She recently had a bunch of radiation and she's recovering. She also had something happen last week where she ended up back in the hospital and had to stay in bed for a couple days. We were supposed to record a one-on-one last Tuesday or Wednesday, but she wasn't well enough to go. Totally understand. It happens. We're going to record this Thursday. And the reason why we're going to record this Thursday and not Tuesday is because I'm going to be recording on Tuesday with Halo Benson and her daughter Aspen. And we've talked about Aspen before. All right. They're trying to raise $7,500 for her defense. They've got a ways to go. They're only about $1,500 there right now. Right. And Aspen again has been, she's facing 33 years in like hard prison time because of a crazy story. And if you check out the GoFundMe, the story is there, and I'll drop the link in the chats for everyone. Yeah, and I'll also drop Shanda's GoFundMe for everyone to put the link in there, for them to be able to support her. But man, it's Aspen's story is crazy, and that's Natalia. We'll talk about her in a second. But Aspen ended up just wrong place, wrong time. He ended up going to a music festival with somebody and tagged along in their RV. That person was transporting drugs and she had no idea. And the RV was stopped in Georgia, where there's some kind of a mandatory sentencing law for anybody in the vehicle. But even the person driving testified that she did not know that anything was there. And so the whole story gets laid out here. All right. Fighting these charges is going to cost a small fortune that they don't have. They've already borrowed everything they could to secure her lawyer for the bail hearing and to pay the bail. And now they need $7,500 as a down payment for the lawyer for this new trial. It's important that they secure it ahead of the indictment hearing. Please share. So please share it if you can, even if you can't donate. Totally understand. Everybody's got tough times right now, but she's really got it rough at the moment and is facing like a majority of her adulthood in prison for being a passenger in a vehicle. I mean, it's horrible. And she's young and she's autistic on top of it, and it's been pretty rough on her already, and I can't even imagine what she's facing. And finally, again, we talked about Natalia, and Cowboy Kitty is in the chat right now. So what I wanted to mention, okay, sorry, let me go back before we get to that. Aspen. So I'm going to be talking with Aspen and Halo on Tuesday, and our plan is on Wednesday, on October 29th, we're going to have a fundraiser benefit stream to continue to raise money for her defense. Jesse Jett is going to play some music. We're going to run the interview and I'll edit parts of it. And I'm not sure exactly how it's going to go. We're trying to organize and figure out exactly who's going to participate and what they're going to do for it. But we would like to put something together and live stream it on the 29th, on Wednesday, the 29th. Kieran Pine and Charlie Mack are part of the organizing crew that will be involved with that. So, you know, Charlie reached out to me and asked like, would I want to be involved? I'm like, well, I'm already interviewing them, so absolutely. And then I would love it if somebody else that had a much larger channel than INN would agree, would be willing to host it on their channel and even host the live stream themselves. I'm not requiring that I need to be involved with any more than we are, but whatever we need to do to step up to make this happen, we will. And any support that we can have, again, appreciate. And yeah, the prison industrial pipeline people, Cotton Country, come a-claimin'. Yep. Kieran's very, very poetic. A lot of rhyming. So there's a Twitter thread. If anybody wants to get involved, let me know, and I will add you to it. Steve, I'm not really sure what color will it be, the tie when I interview Shanda. Probably green, but Maybe I'll set up a pink tie for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, although I know she's not going through. She's got lung cancer, so that's a little different. I'll probably just leave the green. Everybody seems to like the green. I like the green. But I was saying, Natalia Lechkova, that's a working mother taken by ICE. We talked about ICE abducting people earlier. Well, this is another case of someone that they're trying to deport to Ukraine. All right, that wouldn't even let her out, cried to the judge. She's been held for almost over 3 months. Not a flight risk. All right, and her mental and physical health is deteriorating. So again, here's a GoFundMe link to support her as well. And I think Anthony mentioned that they're also talking about deporting her daughter. I mean, I'd like to at least see her daughter kept with her mother, but man, that's still a mess. The whole story. All right. Again, anything we can do to help Aspen, anything we can do to help Halo, anything that we can do to help Shanda and Natalia, that's this week's GoFundMe's. And like I mentioned earlier, we've got the Indie News Now website. That's where all of this stuff is hosted. We've got news articles. We've got the Stripe tip jar where you can support here with a tip. We've got the merch store where you can actually pick up some merch. All right, and pick up a t-shirt, pick up a beanie. Reef got one of those beanies. I am working on getting the other color ties on the t-shirt so that people can get the green one as well. I kind of want to get my hands on a green one and wear it around. People are going to be like, "Oh, what is that?" So, that's good. We made it through. Let's go back here. Thank you, everyone. I'm glad to hang everyone. I'm glad to see everyone. Natalia is still in limbo. Man, what a mess. I'm so sorry, and I wish I had better news and that things were different there for sure. What can we do to help other than sharing the GoFundMes and donating and telling people about it? Again, Descent and Bloom wrote an article about what was going on in Ohio a couple of months ago. They're not going to deport her daughter again, according to Cowboy Kitty. That's a good thing, I guess. But if they're going to separate her, I don't know how great that is. If she's going to put in foster care or wherever she's put, who knows, man? It's just, what a mess. And this is just one case out of thousands around the country that we don't know anything about. This is just one that hits close to home. And I don't want to forget that or dismiss that or, not keep that in the forefront of all of our minds. So we're going to get out of here for tonight, but I appreciate everybody hanging out and visiting and listening to us rant and complain and go through all this stuff, because somebody's got to talk about it. I don't think enough people are really countering all the Hasbara that's out there, and the shout out and kudos to the ones that are. There aren't enough, and we need more people doing that. If you are able to write something, publish something, record something, an audio podcast, you don't have to go on camera. Do something to put out against the mountain of pro-Israel, pro-Zionist nonsense that's out there that they're paying for. Big money. $7,000 a post, apparently, on social media, if you believe all the stuff that we saw this week. No reason not to believe it, because they got plenty of money to blow on all that. But we don't have that. So if you're able to, and it means, again, support the media that you want to see and support independent media. That's us. That's the people who've already done so. Cash App, $ Indie News Network, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, paypal.me/Indie News Network, at IndieNewsNow.com, which I just showed you, at IndieMediaToday.com, where we're live now, and we're going live over at INNNewsletter.com in a few minutes for our React show, where we're going to do some funny stuff, and it's actually going to be uncensored, meaning that the stuff we can't show on YouTube. So we will not be on YouTube, INN8 The Ocho. You'll have to go to Rumble. You'll have to go to Substack. You'll have to go to Odyssey or Twitch or Kick or BitChute. We're over on BitChute too. Shout out to BitChute. BitChute, who doesn't censor either. Almost 18. Okay. She's fine. I mean, I would say that if her mom is getting deported even at 18, I wouldn't be fine. I wasn't fine at 18, even as a quote unquote adult. I certainly needed my parents around and needed their help. So, man, whatever we can do, man. Again, I love you all, and thank you for hanging out, and thank you for supporting independent media. Support independent media because we need it more than ever. And we'll see you soon. Love you all. Bye, everyone.
Hasta la vista, baby. Hasta la vista, baby.
No! We just fucking lost the stream.
I think I liked it better being blind, when I couldn't read between the lines, and when I couldn't see the cracks in the structure that lay bare before me the whole time. I think I liked it better back when I suspended disbelief and swallowed pride. I thought I knew the difference in the red from the blue, but they both bleed us so dry. They both bleed us so dry.
My favorite songs don't hit the same way. I get to the end of a 4-minute track and I'm only looking back thinking, what did they actually say?
I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you want?